Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A major transaction being called the first of its kind in the entire country, drawing concerns tonight over the impact it could have on your next trip to the dentist.
The deal involves a chain of dental clinics based in Madison with several locations here in Northeast Wisconsin. It's being bought by an insurance company, Delta Dental. Jason Zimmerman has been looking into the potential impact. He's live in the studio with a first alert update. Jason.
Cami, both the Wisconsin Dental Association and the American Dental Association speaking out against this sale, saying it creates the potential for conflicts of interest and could lead to a dentist doing what's best for the insurance company rather than the patient when it comes to recommending care.
According to its website, Cherry Tree Dental has locations in 4 states, with the vast majority of their clinics in Wisconsin, including some operating under different names in Ashwaubenon, Menasha, and Oshkosh. Well, there's nothing illegal about the deal under Wisconsin law to sell to Delta Dental. It's raising concerns, especially among those in the industry.
This is the first time this has happened. Not only in Wisconsin, but the first time it's happened in the United States.
Mark Padgett with the Wisconsin Dental Association recently fired off a letter to the State Department of Justice asking for more oversight when it comes to transactions like this.
We're very concerned about one entity controlling the entire transaction. In other words, you have dental practices now that'll be providing the care, and then you have an owner that will also be determining and providing reimbursements, fees to the dentist for the work that they do.
The organization will also be sending a letter to the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. A spokesperson there tells me the transaction doesn't require OCI approval, but Wisconsin law does require a public hearing and approval for Delta Dental Group's reorganization plan. Once that review is done, OCI will post a public notice and conduct that hearing. Wisconsin is one of only 9 states that allows for a dental clinic to be owned by someone without a dental license.
Even though the law does say that non-dentists can own a dental practice, we never envision a dental insurance company owning dental practices.
Just minutes ago, Delta Dental Wisconsin releasing a statement saying, in part quote, Delta Dental of Wisconsin recent purchase of Cherry Tree Dental is to help maintain and improve access to oral health care in our state. And while an insurer owning a practice is somewhat novel in dentistry, it's not across the healthcare landscape. There are instances where providers own insurance companies, end quote. I also reached out to the Wisconsin Department of Justice for comment and so far have not heard back. Chris, back to you.
All right, Jason.